Hello and welcome to this presentation I put together on Airbnb's Belong Anywhere advertising campaign. My name is Sam Strash, one of your peers in Com724, and I chose this as my case analysis topic because I feel like there's some very interesting things that went through with this campaign that really don't apply to other campaigns. And for example, you'll see that there's a very unique target audience as we go through this presentation. So first things first, Airbnb decided to rebrand the company in 2013, 2014, right around that mid-2010s era. They were still called Airbnb prior to that. However, the company was founded by Brian Chesky and two others, Nathan Blacharczyk and Joe Gebbia, as airbedandbreakfast.com back in 2007. And in 2014, after still not seeing quite the success that they wanted to per se, they were succeeding. However, it wasn't the success they really wanted to see quite yet. Brian Chesky got to thinking, and the thinking he thought of was a home is where you belong. And this was quoted in his piece for Medium back in 2014, where he was talking about the corporate rebrand. Design Studio, which is a advertising and marketing agency based in New York, and they have other locations in Sydney and London and all around the world, helps construct this logo up in the top right part of the screen, this far right side of the picture I've shown for you. This is directly from the Design Studio website. They call it the Balo logo. And according to Design Studio, this logo was constructed to be, quote, a symbol that represents belonging, transcends language, and is simple enough to be drawn by anyone. And you can see the few components they took into account when they were constructing this logo, which include people, places, the general feeling of love, and the company itself, Airbnb. And this kind of tied into the company's mission statement on what they really sought to achieve with this company. Like I said about the target audience a little bit earlier, there's a very unique targeting method here with Airbnb. There really wasn't one. And this is why it's very unique, because with other advertising campaigns, you typically see and you can really figure out who the target audience really is. And with Airbnb, I've titled this slide Airbnb versus the world, because their target audience was the world, right? They have two different types of users. They have the hosts of the actual properties that not only Airbnb could also own, but most people own these properties and listen through Airbnb. And they have the guests, the people who create the bookings and use the properties that are listed on Airbnb. And Samkina from 2023 for Kareli University in Finland states that Airbnb's brand personality is all about community. And that's what they were trying to achieve with this. They wanted to include everyone. Their goal was to increase inclusivity and people from all cultures around the world. And this study by Chedhabhedi, I really hope I'm not butchering that, back in 2022, talks about how people from cultures all over the world, and this is a study conducted amongst college students around the world, people from all these different cultures and cultural backgrounds really seek belonging. And the term that Chedhabhedi really used was belongingness, or the sense that you are welcomed, that you feel welcome being anywhere that you are. And that's what Airbnb was really trying to get here by answering the question, what does home really mean in regards to different cultures around the world? What does home really mean to people? And that's why I included the quote on this previous slide, a home is where you belong, which again is from Brian Chesky, one of the founders of the company itself. As a result of this campaign, going around the world, they really didn't use a lot of specific targeted ads for different nations and different countries as far as what I could find. Maybe there are a couple different things out there, but from my research, I couldn't really find much. But that's part of the point here too, is that Airbnb's target audience really wasn't a specific culture or subsect of culture. It was everybody. And part of this campaign's success, if you look here, this left chart shows their quarterly revenue since 2014. This first one, quarter one in 2014, about $76 million. The big bar here on the right now, quarter three of 2024, which is really close to where we are at this day and age, is almost $4 billion. Almost $4 billion, about $3.73 billion. And right in here, about quarter three of 2014 was where this campaign took off. And over the next few years, again, regarding this part, this was during COVID, but over the next few years, because of this campaign, you can see a steady growth in their quarterly revenue. And then from this table here on the right, you can also see a steady growth in user base as well, including during the COVID year 2020 and 2021, where the company still saw an increase from 2018 150 million users to 230 million users in 2022. Going a little bit more forward again, you can see there's a few more tables that I provided for you here. This is all from businessfromapps.com, David Curry's article on Airbnb's campaign, and a little bit about their financial success and some failures going through the last decade or so. In terms of profit, net income over net loss, ignoring 2020 as that's a very large outlier, the company still wasn't profiting. And their net income / loss, they're losing money still, but this campaign wasn't meant to be a short-term success. This is a long-term vision really for Airbnb, that they wanted people to feel like they could belong anywhere and that everyone was welcome. The global community was welcome to use their platform when going on vacation or when traveling or when seeing family. And that's what you can see here in the last 2 years, where Airbnb has netted profits north of $1 billion in 2022, 2023. And in 2023, they netted almost $5 billion in income. Airbnb listings and bookings, these two tables here, also show a steady growth and increase in both listings and bookings. Listings have slowly plateaued a bit since 2017, where from 2017 to 2018, there were an increase of about 2 million listings on Airbnb. And since then, we've only seen about another million to 2 million increase over the last 6-7-ish years. And bookings, though, bookings have largely increased since 2016, where there were about 52 million bookings, to today, where there's almost 450 million bookings this past year in 2023. A couple of parting thoughts from my research and from the case analysis that I drafted for this assignment. There's a quote that I want you to remember after watching this, is that the world is a much more beautiful place, when you accept. And this was a quote from an Airbnb advertisement in 2016 as part of this campaign, where a lot of people from a lot of different racial ethnicities and cultural backgrounds, religious beliefs, you name it, that cultural background was probably there. They were sorting through a whole bunch of different people, making edits, and they were splitting faces down the middle and into thirds, and talking about how when people learn to not assimilate to other cultures, but to acculturate, right? There's a slight difference between acculturation, which is learning and becoming familiar and enjoying the experience, versus assimilation, which is becoming part of a culture. This was all a large advertising campaign about acculturation, which is a term that we were going over in the course about a week or so ago. I think it was in the previous module for this course. But that's a quote that I want you to understand and really take away from this presentation, is that the world is a much more beautiful place when you accept, and when you learn, and when you gather experiences and enjoy experiences from differing cultures. Lastly, in terms of the campaign as well, remember that Airbnb did not choose the destination, right? There's a long-term quote, or a long-time quote, I should say, that has gone around. I've heard it millions of times. You probably have as well, that a vacation or a trip is not about the destination, but it's about the journey. I can't really attribute that to anyone because I've said it too many times myself as well. But Airbnb kind of took that to heart. And they chose to focus on what makes a trip more memorable versus the destination itself, right? The destination, obviously, like you want to go to Aruba, or you want to go to Cabo San Lucas, or Cancun, or London, or you want to go to Morocco, you want to go to Sydney, Australia, the Gold Coast, Australia, the Philippines, Japan, wherever you want to go. Rio de Janeiro, South America in general, like, it's not always about the destination. And that's what Airbnb took to heart here. They chose to focus on the people and the culture as parts of this advertising campaign. And in the long term, it has reaped many benefits for the company. This is just a list of the sources that I referenced during this presentation. Again, thank you for listening to my presentation on Airbnb's Belong Anywhere campaign.